In this video, I would like to talk about an approach to teaching referred to as transparent teaching. Work out of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas has shown this approach to result in established markers and predictors for student success and retention. And it's relatively easy to implement. We will get into what is meant by transparency, but in a nutshell, it has to do with helping students see more clearly what we are trying to teach them, and to provide that clarity by making more explicit the purpose of what students are asked to learn, the steps that they need to take in order to learn it, and what successful achievement looks like. The reason we even need to talk about transparency in teaching is because as instructors, we inadvertently leave holes and ambiguities in what we explain to students. It's easy for us as experts in our fields to fill in the holes and ambiguities with our background knowledge. The problem is that students don't yet have that background knowledge. So being more transparent means being more explicit in what we are trying to teach. So I'd like to start with a little demo. Imagine I gave you these instructions in order for you to complete a task. Do you feel confident in what you need to do? Go ahead and pause the video while you read the instructions. All right, clear as mud? Oh, and I forgot to mention, the purpose of this task is to wash your dirty laundry so that it is clean. Now do you understand what you need to do? Probably much more than you did before. Let's go through this together to see which parts are ambiguous and how background knowledge helps fill in the gaps. So, the procedure is actually quite simple. First, you arrange items into different groups. What does that mean? To sort your clothes into piles, right? Perhaps you put all of the dark colored clothing together in one pile, the whites in another pile, and so on. Of course, one pile may be sufficient depending on how much there is to do. What does that mean? Perhaps if you only have a few items to wash, you just go ahead and combine them regardless of color to save you time and water and resources. Let's go on. If you have to go somewhere else due to lack of facilities, what facilities are being referred to here? A washer and a dryer, right? That is the next step. Otherwise, you are pretty well set. It is important not to overdo things. Now, what does that mean? Perhaps that you want to avoid overloading the washer or dryer with clothes that they might not get clean enough, or if there's too much soap, that it'll create a mess. Lots of different things, right? Now, look at all of those ambiguities. However, background knowledge about the process of doing laundry fills in the gaps, the ambiguity. This is everyday life. This is how we communicate. There is so much ambiguity in our everyday communication, and we don't even realize it. That's okay because we usually have the background knowledge needed to fill in the gaps. However, it becomes problematic in the classroom. It's a problem because it's difficult to know what background knowledge we have or that is needed that students do not have. Further, students often don't know what they don't know, so they aren't able to identify those holes and ambiguities either. Okay, so let's return to this idea of transparency in teaching. Once again, this approach is all about identifying ambiguities and assumptions and being more explicit in our instruction. This work I am about to talk about is work by Marianne Winkelmus at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas through her program TILT, or Transparency in Learning and Teaching. She has come to speak here at the U a couple of times, and we at CTLE think her approach is fabulous. So what exactly is transparency? Transparent teaching and learning methods explicitly focus on how and why students are learning course content in particular ways. And really the how and the why are just as important as the what that students are learning. And how can transparency help students? Transparent teaching and learning methods benefit students who are unfamiliar with college success strategies by explicating learning and teaching processes. Some students do manage to figure out strategies to be successful in college, how to anticipate what an instructor is likely looking for in an assignment, how to get help when questions arise, how to self-reflect and recognize when there's confusion, where to turn for resources, despite all of the hidden ambiguities in what is taught. These students are the exception. If you made it into grad school, and especially if you succeeded in grad school, you are the exception. Most students struggle to figure these out on their own. So Winklemas's work shows that this approach benefits all students. However, in her study, she found even greater benefits for ethnically underrepresented, first generation, and low income students. The boost in benefit for these groups of students is even more important considering that ethnically underrepresented, first generation, and low income students are half as likely to complete their degree in 4 years as their white and Asian peers. Also, consider the fact that this is the new incoming majority population of students in higher education in the US. These students will be making up the majority of the students in our classes. So, transparency can be applied to all aspects of teaching, but perhaps the easiest and likely the most impactful area is with assignments. And it is in this area that Winklemas has done most of her work. So let's take a look at what transparency looks like in an assignment.